farms had caused out great stress. And this application had caused us a lot of stress as well. There's always a risk when moving into a new subdivision that you don't know what your neighbors are going to build. But there's reasonable expectations aligned with zoning, rural amenities, streetscape, and neighborhood character. And I realize some of these things can be subjective, and that's why the planning process includes opportunities for public submissions. If people feel affected by the development don't think it's graceful and the development doesn't meet community expectations, then I think houses have every right to take those considerations on board and regulate this application. From what I could find, the vast majority of homes in Mark Bateman are 300 to 400 square feet. There are very few big homes, and if they are, they're 700-ish square feet max, and they're not located directly next to each other. They're close bars. Now, the applicants are arguing that they have purchased 3 blocks, and that confers the right to 3 very large homes, all connected in one big building. But this home is not even 3 very large homes. It's 4.
Meter home in a residential subdivision. But the point I'm trying to make is that it requires a test of reasonableness. And you can see through the community submissions that people surrounding this home don't find it reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mary Yass. Councillors, do we have any questions for the speaker? Thank you for your presentation. Our next speaker is Ms. Christy Piccolo, also over Teams, speaking against 46 Malbec Drive, Murray Beckman development application. Ms. Piccolo.
Thank you very much. Yes, my husband David spoke at the August meeting. So in addition to the previous statements we have made, and I also thank you for reading my numerous emails I've sent through, I just wanted to respectfully remind councillors of the 6 points under the New South Wales Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, which need to be considered when assessing a DA. These are the all applicable plans and policies, so the Development Control Plan. Number 2, the environmental, social and economic impacts of the proposal. Number 3, the suitability of the site for the proposed development. And just on this point, I really want to reiterate that the position of the block means that a building of this size will dominate the streetscape. Number 4, submissions received from the public and other groups. 9 submissions, which is almost every neighbour, has been received against this proposal. Number 5, comments or approvals from relevant New South Wales government agencies. And number 6, the broader public interest. I urge you to consider what precedents this sets if this DA is approved. In the August meeting, there was a lot of commentary regarding the applicants as people. And I just want to remind you that you need to consider this application and the proposed building against the 6 matters outlined, which I outlined above, without letting the applicants as people influence your decision. The public objections all linked back to the Development Control Plan, which I consider the key consideration in this assessment. The August meeting, there was a lot of discussion around the DCP not being specific regarding details, particularly around defining neighbourhood character. To assist this consideration, I sent you all an email this morning. I undertook some research by taking a sample of information from realestate.com of current building sizes compared to land sizes, just to show you how out of character a 3,000 metre squared building is. Also, just a few comments on the basketball court. The current DA has the basketball court as a Class 1A structure. Under the National Building Code, that's defined as a habitable dwelling. When my husband queried the Yass Valley Council development section on this, the response was that all residential dwellings contain non-habitable elements, example, a kitchen area. However, these non-habitable areas will not change the overall residential status of the dwelling. I'm sorry, but I disagree that a 700-metre squared basketball court, greater than 8.5 metres in total height, requiring up to 2 metres cut and fill, is the same as a kitchen. I think the basketball court should be considered as a Class 10 structure and at a minimum requires separate planning and DA approval. The committee in August voted in favour for this development to be redesigned to reduce the scale and the bulk. I absolutely appreciate the cost involved and the applicant's desire to not reduce the size of their building. If this is the case, I really suggest that the applicant looks at a more suitable site for the building, perhaps a 20-hectare block where the building will not dominate the streetscape. I really do thank you for taking the time for reading my emails and listening to my family concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Piccolo. Do we have any questions for the speaker, councillors? Thank you, Ms Piccolo, for your presentation. Our next speaker is Ms Rachel Dogra, speaking on behalf of the applicant on the same item, 46 Malbec Drive, Murrumbidgee.
Good afternoon, councillors and council staff. I'm not asking to take much of your time. I did obviously put together a letter along with the applicant and the applicant's architect in response to the previous resolution. I just wanted to acknowledge the time that's gone into the assessment of this application, not only by council staff since it's been lodged, but even before that. As acknowledged in the response to the resolution, it's been going on since 2022, so it's not something that's just spurred out of the blue. It's been, the subdivision itself was changed, the lots consolidated in order to accommodate this, as well as the building itself fits. There's a building envelope on there where the building itself fits within that building envelope. The scale, yes, it is a large home. However, as I mentioned in my letter, if you did an FSR calculation against it, it is percentage-wise in the built form in comparison to the actual size of the land is quite small, like it's 9% essentially. I could go into a lot of detail, but as I said, I know you already read the letter. It's out there in the council report. I just want to acknowledge that the previous resolution and by council and on behalf of the applicant and their architect that have been working super hard with council, like they haven't, they've done everything in their best interest to make it comply. So there are no variations. There is no variations to the LEP, there's no variations to the DCP. I do note the DCP gets a lot of talk about it, but as I mentioned, the most important document when we are assessing a DA, yes, the DCP is there, but it's also the LEP, because that is legislation. The DCP is there for control guidelines, and I believe it's part 8.7 of the DCP, just like 4.6, allows for a variation. We're not applying for any variations here. We are complying with both legislation and the development control plan. So on behalf of the applicants, I'm hoping the councillors have not taken offence to the I guess direct letter that I wrote. It was written in support of my clients, and the additional information that was provided to demonstrate that it hasn't just been a matter that's been going on since it's been lodged. It was going on prior to being lodged. And when I say that, we started off with a 15-bedroom home, and immediately, that's 10, 5 bedrooms got discarded straight away. So understandably I'm at my 3 minutes. I'm hoping you can take all of that into consideration, as well as the meaningfulness behind this home. It's not just for the current, you could call it as you say, ecological, sustainable development, because it's not just for the now, it's for the future. And that is what that's what we strive as planners to build.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. Do we have any questions? I have one about the potential to further mitigate any impacts on the neighbourhood character if the applicant is amenable to some variations and additional vegetation screening.
We did show there was perspective plans that were done after the last council meeting that were included as an appendix to the response to the resolution that showed a quite intense landscaped area. When I spoke to Ming, he mentioned that would form part of a condition of the consent, that there was some intense landscaping that mimicked what was on those perspective plans. So yes, there is, and that's always the case. I mean, you don't find many people that buy a home in either residential or rural that don't want to vegetate it. Like they don't want to put up their own privacy anyway. So it's something that has been taken into consideration.
So you're happy for that to be a condition?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll just go on.
Councillor Butler.
That was a good question because I was going to ask that to the applicants when they spoke.
Yeah.
So there's plans for clearing in the back boundaries and then replanting along. I know that they're backing onto the common area as well, so there's no actual dwellings in that area. We've got a large fence along the front, which is really the streetscape then that's looking, but I couldn't see in the plans any plantings from the front, from behind the fence.
There are some, so they're in, as I said, they're an appendix to the, didn't form a part of the original application, but we did get these perspective plans done by the architect that formed an appendix as part of the response to the resolution.
Right.
So there are plans that show quite intense planting at the front there.
At the front boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I must have missed that in my attachments.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, councillors, any further questions?
Thanks
Thank
very
you,
much.
Ms. Deborah. Next, speaking for the development, the applicants, Mr. and Mrs. Helen and Ian Chu.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, councillors and members of the Yass Valley Council. We are here today to sincerely thank you for your time and consideration of our DA at 46 Malbec Drive. After perusing the assessment report, that is attachment G of the report there, page 149 to 168, we are especially grateful that Council has spent the time to professionally assess our DA against the SEPP, the LEP, the DCP, and other environmental planning and assessment regulations of 2021. We truly appreciate Council's thorough review, and we are both thankful and relieved that the Director of Planning and Environment's report has recommended, and I quote, that conditional development consent be issued for our DA. Designing this house has been in the pipeline since January 2022, and it has been a long and stressful journey, not only emotionally but also financially, just getting the design to this stage. Our livelihood is at stake as the project represents not only our family's future home, but also the foundation of the life we worked so hard to build here in Byron Bateman for the last 20 years. Between 2018 and March 2020, about 5 to 7 years ago, I have shown due diligence and proactive engagement with council staff, including Jeremy Knox and Arif Chauhan, to understand what could and couldn't be built, setting hypothetical scenarios should we find the right property. Then, by November 2020, we were made aware of the subdivision at the fields. And again, I started inquiring with council before a deposit was made on the properties to ensure that what we have planned would proceed smoothly, avoiding unnecessary time and financial cost. We want to build our home at the fields because it is close to essential amenities such as doctors, pharmacy and local services, all which are critical for the care and well-being of our elderly mothers and aunts, and as we future plan for ourselves for when we get older. At the last council meeting in August, we were questioned whether we would consider building on a 10-acre property. But our block at 3.23 hectares, which is close to 8 acres, already provides ample space for our multi-generational family. More importantly, it allows our elderly relatives to remain close to medical care, shops, and community connections such as neighbours, rather than being isolated on a rural property far from essential services. Our mothers and aunts are ageing, and the delay in getting our DA approved has placed enormous strain on our current living arrangements. Managing their care in crammed or separate accommodation has become increasingly challenging. Having our family together under one roof will not only give them comfort and dignity, but also allow us to provide hands-on support and cultural care that are so important for our Chinese Cambodian family. We completely understand that conditions are necessary to ensure responsible development, and we want to assure Council that we are committed to meeting the conditions set out in the approval. We will continue to work closely with Council staff, our architects and consultants to ensure that the final building aligns with Council expectations and the community's character. To summarise, this home is about family, compassion and continuity. It's a place where we can care for our elders, raise our children and continue to foster children in needs, all within the community that we are proud to call home. Once again, thank you, Madam Mayor, councillors, for your understanding, guidance and support, and we look forward to working collaboratively to move into the next stage and bring this meaningful project to life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Chu. Do I have any questions from councillors? Thank you for your presentation again. It's much appreciated. Councillors, moving on to item 6.2, DA 250488 for a shed, 32 South Street, Yarra Bateman. Speaking for the applicant is Ms. Rachel Duckrow.
Good afternoon all again. This is, just quickly, I know there's not really a lot of, there was one submission with this DA, so I wanted to come and speak to you all. There is a variation to the height size in this particular zoning. I just wanted to, again, acknowledge the assessment and recommendation from the council staff. But I also wanted to acknowledge that the actual height constraints are, a lot of people have caravans and boats and things that are of a substantial height, whereas this zoning, we've got 3.5 metres to the ceiling and then 4 metres to the ridge. It's not actually very high, so I'm actually doing quite a lot of sheds with variations to the height size. It might be something we need to look into when it comes to reviewing the DCP, purely because it's not so people can house their businesses or anything like that. It's purely for leisure, and it results in the fact that we have to then ask for a variation, just so that they can fit what they want in it, rather than it being out, and look messy out in the yard. So I just wanted to make that kind of comment and let council know that maybe something to talk about when you do go to look at looking at reviewing the DCP.
Thank you, Ms. Dover. And yes, council actually resolved when we adopted it to bring it back at the 12-month mark. Thank you. Councillors, do I have any questions for you, for Ms. Dover? Thank you again for your presentation. Councillors, that concludes our open forum. We'll now move into, we'll just give the live stream an opportunity to come to a close, and then we'll come back with a new live stream for our council meeting. Use of a recording device is a breach of the Code of Meeting Practice, and anyone contravening or attempting to contravene will be expelled from the meeting. Councillors, I'd now like you to rise for our acknowledgement of country and opportunity to pray. Yass Valley Council recognises the Ngunnawal people, the traditional custodians of the land, water and sky. We pay our respect to their elders past, present and future emerging leaders. We extend our respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who live in the Yass Valley local government area. And now, let us be still and remember the presence of God. As we commence our meeting, let us together pray for guidance and help. Join me in the prayer, or we'll take this moment to reflect. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon this council. Direct and prosper our deliberations to the true welfare of Australia and the people of Yass Valley. Amen. Councillors, I have an apology from Councillor Flannery, who will be attempting to join us shortly. Her flight was delayed. Councillors, do we have any declarations? Oh, sorry, and noting that we have a granted leave of absence from Councillor Carter. Councillors, can I have a mover for that? Oh, sorry, it's not. I don't need to move the apology, do I? It's only granting absence. That's correct. Yeah, thank you. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interests or special disclosures? Yeah, thank you, councillors. Confirmation of minutes from the ordinary meeting of council held on the 25th of September 2025. Do I have a mover? So moved Councillor Cameron and Councillor Burgess. Any speakers? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Councillors, moving on to the mayoral minute. This is in response to the submission to Waste to Energy New South Wales Legislative Assembly Parliamentary Inquiry opportunity. The motion, the mayoral minute is before you. The recommendation is that we make a submission to the Waste to Energy New South Wales Legislative Assembly Parliamentary Inquiry objecting to waste to energy incinerators proposed for our area, such as the Woodlawn Advanced Recovery Centre. Maintain its Council's strong objection to such proposals in support of the surrounding community's health and well-being, and that incinerators present an unacceptable risk of smoke taint to the local viticulture winemaking economy. Council notes that energy from waste facilities or mass waste incinerators are currently banned in the ACT and Sydney due to health concerns, but the current New South Wales policy allows it in 4 regional areas. Council submits that an evaluation of the selected locations be reviewed based on the preferred technology and to assist reduce the carbon footprint of transport of waste to the regions versus the source, Sydney. Council supports the objection of other council and territory areas and the objection from the local member for Goulburn, who shares concerns that the proposed waste incinerator at Tarango presents a potential health risk to the residents there, including Greenwood, Bungendore, Queanbeyan, Yass, Collector, Gunning, Goulburn, Canberra and surrounding areas. Council notes the current New South Wales Legislative Council inquiry into energy from waste facilities is currently open for submissions until the 31st of October 2025, and the Council encourages primary producers and the region's viticulturalists to have their say by making submissions to the inquiry. And councillors, with your agreement, I'd also like to introduce Councillor Cherry's advice to also write to our local members or communicate with our local members and also include Mr. Bob Namper, who's been assigned this area from the Labor government, to also strongly advocate our position. We want those additional words to, yeah, thank you. Sorry, the sun. Yeah. Councillors, I would like to seek a seconder for my mayoral motion.
You don't need a second.
I know I don't need, but I'm being collegiate in this, and I'd like a seconder.
I'll have you second.
Thank you. you, councillors. Do we have any speakers for or against the motion? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to speak in favour of the motion. I'm very pleased to see the Mayor introduce this mayoral minute, which supports green policy on this issue, on this particular issue. Waste to energy sounds on the surface as a very attractive proposition, as it sounds like a win-win situation. However, incineration in particular with plastics emits pollutants into the air when rubbish is burnt and produces tonnes of bottom ash, which is regarded as hazardous material, which you then have to find some way of getting rid of. It's considered to be far more polluting than gas, coal-fired power stations. Also, not only does it worsen emissions, but it undermines the significant efforts to recycle efficiently and develop a circular economy that repairs and reuses products. So, because you could basically just say, oh, here's the rubbish, here's the FOGO stuff, just throw it and get it incinerated. And that's not what we want to do. So I see this as an urgent mayoral minute, which I'm pleased to see, in that Yass Valley and neighbouring councils, and I know Queanbeyan in particular has already sent in their submission, I believe, as well as community members, have the opportunity to do something immediate to reduce the possibility of increased emissions that will impact seriously on climate change. So I strongly support the urgent mayoral minute.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Cherry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I very happily rise in support of this mayoral minute. It is both timely and necessary that Yass Valley Council demonstrate civic leadership on the issue of waste energy incineration proposals, including the proposed facility at Toronto. This is not an isolated matter and we're not alone in this struggle. Just 2 days ago, Goulburn-Warwick Council passed a unanimous resolution firmly opposing the same project. The resolution endorsed the submission to parliamentary inquiry, recorded strong opposition to the proposed incinerator, confirmed that Goulburn-Warwick Council does not rely on Viola to waste disposal, and committed to community education, encouraging residents to make their own submissions before the deadline. They're also resolved to investigate amending their LEP to prohibit waste incineration as a land use across the LGA. This is commendable civic leadership, Madam Mayor, in action, and I congratulate the Deputy Mayor of Goulburn-Warwick for moving this amendment, and in doing so, standing up for her residents within her LGA, protecting local industries and prioritising public health and environmental responsibility, as already illustrated by my colleague, Councillor Cameron Cross. For the Yass Valley, this motion represents the same values. It's about protecting our people, our air and our economic foundations, particularly in viticulture, agriculture and tourism, which define our region's character and potential for economic growth. Importantly, this motion also encourages our own residents and producers to have their say before the inquiry's deadline, ensuring their voices are heard directly. By supporting this motion, we're joining our LGA neighbours. We're also joining the member for Goulburn, the Honourable Wendy Tuckerman, and other regional communities in a shared commitment to health, sustainability and fairness. It's a clear example of civic leadership done right, responsible, measured and focused on the well-being of the people that we have been elected to represent. I commend you, Madam Mayor, for bringing this motion forward, and I strongly support its adoption. Thank you.
Councillors, do we have any further speakers? Councillors, I'd just like to let you know that I've reached out to two of our most eminent winemakers in Yass Valley, and that is Ms. Stephanie Helm from Britain's Daughter and Mr. Ken Helm from the Helm Wineries, who were quite instrumental in putting forward further representations back in 2022, and they've appreciated the opportunity now to also be alerted that this is another opportunity. So I'd like to extend that to all of our primary producers who might be impacted, particularly our wineries. If we had just prevailing westerly winds in summer, this may not really be an issue for us, but we know the weather conditions in Yass include those easterly winds, which could bring unacceptable smoke taint. And until I did a bit of a deep dive, thanks to the Australian Wine Research Institute, I had no idea how sensitive grapes are, even being transported in a truck that has a bad fume issue coming back into the vehicle. Grapes can be tainted, the barrels can be tainted, there's just no room for error. And I think that's really important, because if there's no room for error in Sydney, certainly no room for error here. So I commend the motion to you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All those in favour of this motion? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to item 6.1, DA 240266, dwelling house 46 Melbeck Drive, Murray Bakery. Could that be raised? I just cannot see the sun's there. Councillors, I'd like to propose a motion to you that conditional development consent be issued for this DA for the construction of a dwelling house at 46 Malbec Drive, Murray Bateman, including conditions relating to the completion of landscaping works. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Councillor Butler. Councillors, I really appreciate the due diligence done by our planning staff and also the consultant that the applicant has used, bringing to the fore how much communication has actually been exchanged on trying to meet the neighbourhood character and also to mitigate the scale of the building. I think it's upon us to take into consideration the works proposed to do additional screening with vegetation to try and best keep this character of this area in place. So I commend the work of staff and the applicant. Councillors, do I have any speakers? Councillor Butler as the seconder.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't say much on this one. I was supportive of this in the beginning. One of my core values in life is autonomy, and I really truly believe that people should be able to choose what they want to do on their own property sizes, as long as it's legal and it's you know, it works. I don't see any. After reading all the submissions, I really can't see anything major in this other than I don't want this here because it's too big and it looks odd. And I just don't think that that's grounds enough to refuse this application. So I'm fully supportive of intergenerational living as well. And so I commend the motion as it stands, the alternate.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Do I have any speakers against? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the August meeting, I supported the motion for a deferment that encouraged the applicant to revisit their proposal and make some adjustments to their plans. I was in a bit of a quandary at that stage because I did ask at that particular point whether this was actually feasible, and I sort of got a bit of a mixed response, but I decided to go with supporting the deferral motion, which I thought was some sort of compromise to try and go down some sort of middle path. On the other hand, what we have now is the applicants have decided not to go down that path and rely on the existing application. That's obviously their right to do so, but I think their proposal fails to fit in with the existing streetscape and neighbouring character of the existing subdivision, which is far more moderate and modest. And I think we have to remember that this is stage 4 of a development of the fields. And so we do have an idea of what the fields looks like in general. I don't think one family's want rather than need should be prioritised over the rest of the surrounding neighbours. It's an interesting point about you should be able to do whatever you should do on your particular land. There have been lots of examples in Murray Bateman where stuff has happened which is illegal and stuff has happened which is very close to the border. I just think we have to be aware, having been to a meeting last night talking about community, and it was a really good meeting discussing the importance of community and people getting along with each other. I think this is not a good situation. I think from my point of view the building is too large. I think it will stand out and dominate the landscape. I think one of the arguments that has been used is the idea of the diversity. And I think I'm willing to accept that there's got to be diversity in housing, whether it's small, perhaps large, perhaps whatever. But I think it should be in consideration for the planned character of the particular development. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Do I have any speakers for? Thank you, Councillor Chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At our August meeting, I moved to defer this development application to give the applicants an opportunity to bring forward amended plans. That decision was made to ensure proper consultation could occur and that the nearby residents' concerns about bulk, scale and character were fully heard and considered. Since that resolution, I have been satisfied that the applicants have remained in constant and constructive discussion with Council's planning team. Helen, Lee and Chu acted in good faith, in my opinion, and have shown a genuine willingness to respond to the matters raised. I also want to acknowledge the residents who have made representations against this proposal, and in particular those who have taken the time to speak to us tonight during the public forum. I assure you that your voices have not been ignored. They have been duly noted in due consideration and waiting in my deliberation. I firmly believe that public consultation is one of the most important parts of the planning process, as is assessment consistent and in accordance with section 415 echo of the New South Wales Environmental Planning Assessment Act, which is the public interest. And I greatly appreciate the time and diligence taken by those who wrote or spoke to me about this application. However, after reviewing the updated information, council report and discussing the matter with planning staff and my council colleagues, I do not believe that this dwelling will impact nearby residents at the magnitude that has been claimed. While no fundamental structural changes have been made, the applicants have demonstrated a commitment to working within the framework of the Yass Valley Development Control Plan, NDLEP, and have approached this process with openness and commensurate respect. As a Murrumbidgee resident, I understand and appreciate both perspectives. Our small community values its character and rural setting, but I also firmly believe, as my esteemed colleague Councillor Butler just mentioned, that homeowners should have a reasonable degree of freedom to invest in their property, particularly when the home is designed for intergenerational families, and that they have contributed so much to our small community, including through care of foster children. This application represents more than a benign building. It represents a family's long-term commitment to Murrumbidgee. I believe the recommended conditions, especially those related to landscaping and visual amenity, provide appropriate safeguards for neighbours while allowing this family to move forward. For these reasons, I will be supporting the recommendation put us and the amended that you've just included, Madam Mayor, for conditional approval of DA 240266 46 Melbourne Drive, Murrumbidgee. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Councillor Cho. It's just come to my attention. I've actually only read out part of it. It hasn't been captured fully. So, and I thought it was a little bit later on. Sorry. Can I just amend the motion? It should read, subject to conditions requiring a revised landscape plan that better protects the character and amenity of the neighbourhood, and for details of this plan to be submitted to council for approval prior to the issue of a construction certificate. So that further, sorry, it just wasn't captured in the original. Yeah. Which is what we talked about, protecting that neighbourhood character. Sorry. Is the second?
I'm still second.
Thank you, just checking. All right, can everyone see that? Is everyone happy? Okay, thank you, councillors. All right, do I have any speakers against? Any further speakers for?
Let's go there.
Thank you. I think the words are let's get it done. Let's get it done. Or let's get cracking. All right, councillors, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Butler, Councillor McGrath, Councillor Charry, Councillor Jones, Councillor Burgess, Councillor Rothwell. All those against? Councillor Cameron. The motion is passed. Councillors, moving on to item 6.2, the DA 250488 shed, 32 South Street, Murrumbidgee. We have a recommendation before us that conditional consent be issued for the construction of a shed at 32 South Street, Murrumbidgee. Do I have a mover? So move, Councillor Butler. Councillor Cherry. Do I have any speakers? Yeah.
I'll keep it
Councillor
short. I just wanted to, I agree with what Ms Dover said before about we need to probably revise what the DCP is saying in terms of height, because a lot of people who live in Murrumbidgee and kind of rural-ish areas do have large and high caravans and things like that. They want to obviously house their investments. However, I would also like to just point out that as Murrumbidgee grows and our block sizes get smaller, we still want to be putting sheds on there. So I would hate to see a DCP that then just allows huge, big scale sheds to come into, 800 square metre blocks. So I agree, but I'd like to see that. But otherwise, I have no problem with this, and yeah, happy with the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Palmer. Any further speakers for or against? Okay, let's put this to vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, Councillors. Councillors, it was probably actually very remiss of me not to introduce at the beginning of the meeting, and it's sometimes the penny drops really late, Andrew, but when it drops with a loud bang. I'd just like to formally introduce not only our councillors but also our viewers to our new Director of Planning and Environment, Mr. Andrew Neal. So, I'd just like to welcome him to Yass Valley. As you can see, he has hit the ground running, and I think what was it, 40 minutes in the office on your first day, because we had him from one meeting to the next. So welcome Andrew, and I just want to give our CEO the opportunity to quickly speak to, and my apologies for not doing that at the beginning.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I think we all welcome Andrew to the Yass Valley team / family. We're very excited to have Andrew and his skill set join Yass Valley. He comes with a very well credentialed as a strategic planner, and he's probably going to correct me on this, but he also has qualifications in heritage as well, which is fantastic for the Yass Valley, given the amount of heritage buildings we have and the focus that we want to keep and maintain on those structures. Andrew has worked for City of Sydney, Maitland Council, as well as Glen Innes Seven Council, and has also worked for the state government, meaning that he has large strategic background in the city, but also good country planning experience as well. So I think he's going to be a fantastic fit and a great value add for the executive team.
Terrific. Okay. Councillors, I'm going to get on with item 6.3, development application update for August and September 2025. We have a recommendation to note those reports. Do I have a mover? So moving Councillor McGrath and Councillor Cherry. You had your hand up slightly faster, Councillor McGrath. Still got it. Would you like to speak, Councillor McGrath? Any further comments, councillors? Councillor Cherry.
Through you, Madam Mayor, questions to Director of Planning and Environment. Welcome. Sincerely, great to have you on board, mate. Just a couple of questions. If I may, relating to the content that you provided in this month's report. So, noting the New South Wales Government's new Statement of Expectations of 2024 and the state's Faster Assessments Program, can you please outline what operational changes you anticipate will be most important for Yass Valley Council to meet the 105-day target for DA determination?
Through you, Mayor Jones. It would be a bit arrogant of me to assume I have all the answers 4 days into the job. I'm going to be doing some pretty thorough work in this space, making sure that we're appropriately resourced, that staff are appropriately trained, that we have the right methodologies and systems in place to make sure that we're meeting those expectations. I'm more than happy to give a more detailed answer to this the next time we table this report, where I should have a bit more of a on-the-ground knowledge of how we operate in this space. But that said, what I've seen so far is really positive. We're able to quickly pivot. For example, we unfortunately have recently, as of yesterday, lost our cadet planner to an adjoining council. Immediately, a consultant contractor has been brought on board to make sure there's no delay in assessing development applications, to make sure we're still servicing the community appropriately. So looking forward to getting more involved in this and coming back with a more thorough answer in due course.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you, I appreciate that. I did have a follow-up question, but I'll stand by till next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cherry. And just noting that Councillor Flannery has joined us at 12:50 PM, if we could move that.
We'll just blame Qantas.
Councillors, are there any further questions? Okay, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour of noting? That's unanimous. Excellent. Moving on to item 6.4, the report on the 2022 to 2025 delivery program. We have a recommendation that that be noted. So moved, Councillor Cherry. Seconded, Councillor Flannery. Councillor Cherry.
Madam Mayor, question for the CEO, if I may, through you. Ms. Burley, are there any particular aspects of the report that you feel would be both especially valuable for the community to understand, either in terms of the practical outcomes for residents or the broader benefits to the Yass Valley?
Thank you, Councillor Cherry, and through you, Madam Mayor. I would like to firstly say that this delivery program was actioned and delivered predominantly before I arrived. And I wanted to say a big thank you to all the staff that delivered on those actions over the past few years. I think the work that they've done has been commendable, and they certainly, put all their efforts towards making sure that they delivered the actions within their delivery program. Council, through the delivery program from 2022 to 2025, has done its core business, which is assessing DAs, collecting rubbish, building and maintaining roads, and keep doing what council does. But in addition to that, we've developed master plans for Bookham, Yass and Bowning, and they are very important documents. Without those documents, we can't apply, or it's very difficult for council to apply for funding to improve those villages. So they are core pieces of work. Council has also been very active in the community event space through a number of programs such as Australia Day, Anzac Day and NAIDOC Week, and promoted the Yass Valley through a new destination management plan, guides, as well as our usual destination marketing. Council, through the 3 years of the DP, have also investigated alternate water sources and been very active in that space, continued with the bridge replacement program, completed the Riverbank Park playground, and commenced, of course, our amazing Craigdown Mill development, which includes a new library and administration centre, as well as some significant landscaping. And of course, we've commenced the Yass water treatment plant upgrade as well. So these projects are, were all delivered within that time frame. Again, well done to the council staff. I would say that there is a number of actions that have not been delivered, and from my perspective, or have been delayed, and from my perspective, council's resourcing has been very much impacted over that period of time. We've been running at a reduced staffing level for whatever reason. The new executive now is working very hard to counteract that through our organisational structure review, which will then follow with recruitment early in the new year, and making sure that when we put projects into our delivery program moving forward, that we have funding available so that we're not setting up expectations that we can't deliver on. I trust that answers your question, Councillor Cherry.
It does, thank you, CEO.
Thank you, councillors. Any further questions or speakers? Let's put that to the vote on the delivery program being noted. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Item 6.5, the report on the 25-26 operational plan. We have a recommendation before us that that be noted. Do I have a mover and a seconder? So moved, Councillor Flannery. Seconded. Councillor Jones. Wow, we're on fire. All right, do I have any speakers? Yep. I might just give the CEO the opportunity to speak to this item.
Thank you, Mayor Jones, and through you, Mayor Jones, I'd just like to highlight to councillors that we are now doing quarterly reporting on the operational plan. This is something that the executive feels is needed. 6 monthly reporting really means you would only get one report before the end of the year, and we don't think that's sufficient. This is a good way for us to be able to keep ourselves on track, also keeping the councillors informed, but most importantly, ensuring that our community understands where we are when delivering each of those projects and activities. So this is definitely an improvement that we hope that the councillors will see as a value add moving forward.
Councillor Flannery.
Thank you for that. I've had a number of representations from people on the Boambla Road, One Tree, it's not Kilt, it's One Tree Road. One Tree, Mark Tree, that's better, and other roads, and they would be documented within our operational plan. It just would be good, I feel, to give the community some more knowledge about when some of those activities might occur. So if the council would put it on its website or when we're actually grading or a period, that I greatly appreciate some of that work.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery. I think we're all in violent agreement.
As long as it happens.
Just through the CEO, are we able to allow the director to respond? Yep. Okay. If we could ask that question directly, when is the weekly, monthly, yearly, 10-year program going to be available for the councillors and community to view?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So we have started implementing that on our website. We did have that up to date as of, I think, August. It has fallen behind schedule a bit. We've had a few changes in staffing at the moment. We're going to get that back up to date in the next few weeks.
And what projection of time did that give us on those updates?
What it will do is it will show you the maintenance grading program, what category of road and priority each road is within the Shire, and then a month in front of where we're up to, what's planned to be done in the forecast of the month.
So through you, Madam Mayor, when I worked for the ACT government, we had this constant issue of, when we're up to roads and a priority. Is there some way that the community can get a sense of what our priorities are? Like, is it based on volume? Boambla Road, for example, may not carry as much traffic as others, but it might be absolutely critical to the businesses that are there. So how do we prioritise the criticality of roads? And there's many ways you can cut the cake, but to the people that are on the roads, it would just be good to give them some sense of how their situation's being assessed.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So we've got a road maintenance policy which details that exact criteria for what the hierarchy and how the priority of the roads is determined. There is going to be a workshop for councillors in November, which is going to be everything road, so piece of that.
Okay, so go find the policy and then we'll have a workshop about it. That's the kind of,
Councillor Burgess.
I'd just like to say I've had heaps of phone calls about Boambla Road, the Yass River Road, Mark Tree Road, Dog Trap Road. They're impassable, some of these roads. Yass River Road, last week, I left at 6 o'clock at home to come down the Yass River Road. You're doing 20 k's an hour. It was a disgrace. All the way down at this end, and then that night they had it blocked off only for locals. We went up it, and there's one spot they fixed, a little bit like here out to the front, and they left the worst part there, and on that zigzag, it's terrible. And that Mark Tree Road is a bloody disgrace. When are we going to do we need gravel on these roads. That's right. That's what it needs, gravel. There must be little pits somewhere they can get some gravel out against these roads on properties. They used to do it all the time.
Through the CEO.
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, so Mark Tree Road is on the program to be maintenance graded in the coming weeks. Gravel, we really struggle to fund gravel. We would love to. If I can find a bucket of money that gives us $1 million, couple of $1 million to spend on gravel, send it my way. Because at the moment we are spending every dollar we can on our roads, try to keep it to a standard, at the best standard possible. Just without funding resources, we're unable to keep up. That's where we're at.
Councillor Oswald.
We still operate the borrow pits on the verges of the road, like Brown's Pit and all those.
No, through you, Madam Mayor, no, we don't have any operational pits.
Why is that?
There's a lot of EPA criteria we need to be able to stay within and comply with. We're not in the business of running our own internal quarries. So we purchase gravel.
We used to though.
EPA requirements have changed a lot in the last 5 to 10 years.
What about putting gravel on the side of the road, on the verges and all that sort of stuff? Quite a lot of the roads, they're hard faced on the sides.
Yep.
You wipe it off with an excavator in the grader load.
Possibly. You've got to test that gravel, obviously, pulling clay from the side of
No, most of the time you can tell, like you can see it.
Yep.
What sort of material needs to go down?
Possible, you need heavier machinery more often than not, you need a dozer or something if you are going to go and change that. A lot of time you also have vegetation in the way, REFs and the like need to be approved before you can start pulling.
But a lot of those areas, because they're in the disturbed zone, you don't need to do it. So you can go through with that 14 tonner you've got down there, you can win a heap of that material and put it on the truss and spread it. Even if it is not as good a material as you buy, it's putting something on the road.
You do run the risk of that material becoming slippery as well though. It's not to the standard and requirements of the specifications that we have for our gravels.
Yep.
That's the risk.
But the guys should be able to tell, and well, you know, I know.
I think we're kind of leaning into the area of debating our director right now.
Oh,
so
sorry, mate.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Councillor Cherry.
But not a question for the director, but just a comment to this particular topic. And I'd like to acknowledge Ms Kate Thomas and Mr Jackson Burgess in the room. Kate is the president of the Gundaroo Community Association, and Mr Jackson Burgess lives around down the road, and they both raised, along with a lot of Gundaroo and Sutton residents, specifically the issues of road maintenance around that part. I've put requests for information from both the CEO and the director, obviously noting the tempo. I'm not asking for that right now, but I'd like to just make a comment because it's very important for us to ensure that this gets the attention that it requires. I do note that we need to spread the love across the LGA. I absolutely accept that, and I appreciate the comments brought out by Councillor Flannery as well, because we literally received an email about this morning about that road down the Wall route. And look, this is something that is very contentious, especially for the people of Gundaroo and Sutton. They are extremely frustrated, in particular Martree Road. I know that Councillor Burgess himself has raised this numerous occasions. We got an email, I personally got an email from the resident of Gundaroo that showed a vehicle accident that happened at about 40 km an hour because the washouts were that deep. There are signs that are being left on the road by previous contractors and things. I'm encouraging them to report everything they can, put a Stab Stand Solve app, and I'd like to reiterate that, and I know that Kate Thomas has passed that on to her team at the GCA, so I think the fact that we're talking about this is very good and very heartening, but I still believe there is a lot of work to be done, in particular in this area, and I take it as a high priority for myself, being a resident of Murray Bateman. Murray Bateman Road is one of those ones that we really need to prioritise as well, because it's a key connector for the LGA that moves traffic in and out of the Yass Valley. So appreciate the attention we're giving this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cherry. I'll just refer to our CEO.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm wondering if councillors might feel more comfortable if we had a second dot point to the recommendation, which is that a workshop be held in November that looks at the roads budget and roads projects for this financial year, and that we review that in terms of a priority.
Yeah, in priorities. Yeah. Thank you, agree.
So we'll discuss the roads budget and review priorities. Is the mover happy to accept that amendment?
Yes.
Seconder is vehemently in agreement. Any speakers for and against that amendment? Right, councillors, if there's no further comments, I'll give the opportunity for the mover to close.
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, right. Let's put that to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Moving on to item 6.6, the updated guidelines for advisory committees and committees of council. Councillors, we have a motion. Thank you, Councillor Cherry.
Madam Mayor, I've sent through the amended motion to Chloe, if you don't want to bring that up, please.
There is sorry, are you seconding?
No.
Okay, well, I have a speaker already on the floor.
Do you want to forward it on to you, Kate?
I've got it here.
You got it.
It's okay, on the screen.
Would you like to read that?
Yes, please. Yes, the vision here is very limited.
The motion I'll move this evening reads that Council endorses the updated guidelines for advisory committees and committees of Council 2025. Paragraph 2, endorse the terms of reference embedded within guidelines for the following committees, noting that formed committees will have the chance to review and suggest change to the terms of reference as required prior to their final adoption by Council. The following committees listed: Economic Development Advisory Committee, Craig Mill Precinct Project Committee, Yass Water Treatment Plant Upgrade Project Committee, First Nations Advisory Committee, Access and Age Friendly Advisory Committee, Sport and Open Space Advisory Committee, Murray Bateman Rec Ground Focus Group, Murray Bateman Pump Track Focus Group, and the Yass Pool Redevelopment Focus Group. Paragraph 3, call for council delegates to the following committees: Economic Development Advisory Committee, 1 plus an alternate; First Nations Advisory Committee, 1 plus an alternate; Access and Age Friendly Advisory Committee, 1 plus an alternate; Sport and Open Space Advisory Committee, 1 plus an alternate. Paragraph 4, call for expressions of interest from community members for the following committees: Economic Development Advisory Committee, First Nations Advisory Committee, Access and Age Friendly Advisory Committee, Sport and Open Space Advisory Committee. Paragraph 5, nominations received by the expression of interest process will be reported back to Council at a future meeting. Paragraph 6, all committees receive a formal induction prior to the next or first meeting. Paragraph 7, note the existence of an internal Financial Sustainability Committee created as part of Council's Financial Sustainability Roadmap with reporting mechanisms to the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Flannery. Councillor Cherry, you now have the floor to speak to your motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to begin by saying that I strongly support the updated guidelines for advisory committees and the committees of Council. This is a welcome step forward that will help improve the consistency, clarity and transparency of how our committees operate and ensure that they remain aligned with Council's strategic objectives. And I'd like to speak now specifically about the Economic Development Advisory Committee. As a long-time advocate of the establishment of the EDAC, I am particularly encouraged to see the framework that allows this important committee to now take shape. I've expressed my interest in chairing the EDAC alongside my colleague Councillor David Rothwell, and I believe that this committee has enormous potential to bridge the gap between Council's strategic vision and the real-world needs of our local businesses. To that end, I'd like to propose a few considered amendments to the terms of reference, and I thank the Senior Governance Officer for implementing those into the terms of reference already. I've written this speech already, so I'll continue. So, first, as a regular attendee of the Yass Valley Business Chamber's monthly meetings, I've seen firsthand the professionalism, energy and commitment of this organisation. I believe that the Yass Valley Business Chamber should be allocated 2 ex officio member positions, one for the President and one for the Vice President. The direct input and advocacy on behalf of the business community is invaluable. Both members, Mr. Jack Walker and Mr. Jason Burgess, also bring a deep experience across multiple business sectors and geographic areas within our LGA, which is precisely the kind of insight that EDAC needs. Secondly, I propose that we reduce the number of community representation positions from 6 to 4 and place strong priority on ensuring that those members represent the tourism, viticulture and hospitality sectors. These are high impact economic zones within the Yass Valley around Murray Bateman and Sutton Gundaroo that make a major contribution to our regional brand and the economy of the Yass Valley. Their voices need to be more directly heard in our planning and advocacy work. And finally, I'd like to see the Regional Development Australia, our Southern Inland Destination New South Wales, included as strategic partners to the committee, invited to participate as key advisors but without a voting authority. This ensures that we maintain access to critical regional data, funding opportunities through possible grants and policy insights while keeping local decision making firmly within our hands as Yass Valley Council. These small adjustments will ensure that the EDAC has the right balance of local representation, regional insight and strategic expertise, giving it every chance to deliver meaningful outcomes for our communities and businesses. I commend the report that's put before us, and I put this motion for your support. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Councillor Cherry. I just seek the seconder's concurrence. Would you be agreeable to putting this into a committee of the whole so we can pull out what delegates we want and discuss as a group?
You took the words out of my mouth.
All right. So moved by Councillor Flannery for a committee of the whole, setting a maximum time period of 10 minutes to discuss.
15 minutes.
15, okay. Seconded by Councillor Cherry. All those in agreement to go into committee of the whole? That is Councillors Butler, McGrath, Cherry, Jones, Burgess, Rothwell, Flannery. Those against? Councillor Cameron? Okay. Councillor Zatz has been moved. We'll now move into committee of the whole, and that is an opportunity for all of us to speak. Okay.
Did we get the motion up there?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Cameron.
I've been trying to ask a question. The first question is, you only have to have a bit of a quick look to see that we don't have the complete number of committees there. There's 5 committees, not 4. So can we put the Sustainability Committee in as well, please? It seems to have been left out. Obviously inadvertently, I don't see any conspiracy on it yet.
Councillor Flannery. Oh, sorry, can we, sorry, I thought you finished.
No.
Carry on.
So that's the question I've been asking. I thought the original motion or the original recommendation, which I think the mover of, well, Councillor Cherry has spoken to, gives the committees when they are formed the possibility of playing around with the terms of reference and possibly with the membership. Am I wrong or am I right?
The terms of reference, sorry, I'll defer to our governance.
Through you, Madam Mayor, so point 2 in Councillor Cherry's amendment does have provision for suggested changes to the terms of reference once the committees are formed. And it would be ideal that they came back to council for final adoption after their first meeting.
Well, yeah, I'm sort of a little bit, I'm not sure why we're looking at one particular terms of reference in some detail at the moment. That's what I'm saying. Sorry. I suppose we're in the committee of the whole now, so we'll have a discussion about it.
And just a reminder, you don't have to stand during committee of the whole.
Just wanted to stand.
Just bad habits. We're getting ready for next year.
So I guess I will, I'm in support of the committees, but just to Councillor Cameron's point about the Sustainability Committee, from my perspective, sustainability is critical to everything we do and should be embedded in every one of those committees and not be a committee as on its own. And I feel that part of our terms of reference should have, sustainability in them across all our everything, rather than it being isolated, pigeonholed. Because sustainability can't be pigeonholed. It does apply to everything. If I'm just using, age-friendly or sporting field or sporting sport and open space, I mean, we can look at anything from reduction of water, changing over grass species as one element. With age-friendly, we might be looking at how they manage their waste. So I just feel that having sustainability pigeonholed actually diminishes its importance. Well, not diminishes, but it sidelines it a little bit. That's just my view, and that we should support having sustainability as a measure across all our committees as one of the terms of reference that we have to consider.
Councillor Flannery and Councillor Cherry, can I just say that as the first chair ever of the Sustainable Communities Committee, that I actually applaud that change. I think it elevates sustainability. It was very, very difficult to action it as a standalone committee, so I actually like that change. Councillor Cherry.
I was going to say, Madam Mayor, look, and not to blindside Councillor Cameron, because I know that he was going down on implementing this committee. I personally believe exactly what Councillor Fleming's just said. I believe sustainability is a core theme through every single one of our committees. It shouldn't be a standalone committee, because every single one of us who chairs a committee should be discussing the points that are raised through a sustainability lens. And we've got to be very conscious as well, and sustainability can be a very cliched word as well, like a strategy or anything as risk. So we've got to define that very clearly, and I can definitely say from my experience, if we don't bring that remit into a narrower focus and be very judicious about the way we apply that explanation, then we are just opening up ourselves for a committee of disgruntled community members who are there to undermine the CEO and her staff, and I do not want to be part of that, because I want to do everything that we can do as a council to ensure that the staff are supported by the councillors and to represent the community, to allow them the ability to speak. But from my perspective, I saw the iteration of this committee in the last term, and no disrespect, as a means to undermine the councillors and the elected body, and I don't want no part of that. No disrespect.
No disrespect, you bloody kidding.
Excuse me. Right, do we have any other things that we need to raise before I start asking for volunteers for chair? All right, so we've got a couple of committees here that I'd like to put a name to. This is actually quite important that we identify who the councillors are going to be ahead of time.
Stop throwing attention at him, stop throwing attention.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I quite agree. If we can't contain the discussion, I'll have to move this out of the committee of the whole and then proceed. So, councillors, we're going to need some suggestions for the chair and the spare for these committees. For the Economic Development Committee, I have a nomination already for Councillor Cherry. And as a second, I have Councillor Rothwell. Do I have any other nominations for those?
Just a question.
Yes.
This, Councillor Carter is absent. Has he been made aware that we're doing this now, or should we just vote him in while he's not here?
Cleverer words were never spoken. That opportunity has not been expressed to me that he wants to chair any of these. He's already on the ARIC committee. And
right, yeah, no, that's fine. Just
yeah.
want him to be that down.
If into the iteration of the committee, if there was a firm belief that we needed those skills brought in, bring back the terms of reference for a particular committee. Okay, so do I have any other nominations now for the first, sorry, which one was next? The Access and Age Friendly Advisory Committee. Councillor Flannery.
I'm sorry, I can't nominate myself, so I was going to.
Can I think that nudge was Councillor Rothwell now nominating you. Fantastic. Councillor Flannery, do you accept that nomination? Thank you. And I'll need a alternate for that. Councillors, do I have an alternate for the Access and Age Friendly Advisory? Thank you, Councillor Butler. Okay, moving on to the Sport and Open Space Advisory Committee. Councillor Cameron?
No.
No, okay. Councillors, do we have someone willing to be? So the Sport and Open Space Advisory Committee. This could be you again. Flo. Yeah. Bring a lot of knowledge to that. Okay. I will need an alternate.
I nominate.
I'll show you.
Okay. So the First Nations Advisory Committee. Councillor Cherry, do I have any other nominations? The chairing. Okay, I'll also need an alternate. Councillor Cameron, thank you, Councillor Cameron. Okay, I think we've got that covered. Have I missed anything? Thank you. Councillors, nicely done. All right, I think we have fulfilled everything we need to do in the Committee of the Whole, unless there's any other comments or questions.
There is one question.
Yes, Councillor.
I know that the recommendation, I think, says that the terms of reference will be brought back before council. Can we have an agreement or something that sustainability is one of the items that all the committees must consider? I'm just wondering how we embed that.
Would you like the terms of reference to have a scaffold that the staff prepare?
I think that would be helpful.
Suggested.
I'm not saying what those items are,
Yeah.
it's just that we do need to consider sustainability in all our items.
And it may be that some committees are more dynamic in that space and ready to stretch, and others will have their training wheels on. But it's something that I would really like to see a bit of cross-pollination. So if we have one committee that really streaks ahead in that area, we might consider what we can do to mentor or cross-pollinate that information across. No point in bending the wheel if someone's already moved on from the square onto the circle.
Can I just ask how we foresee that playing out? Because I completely agree with it that it should be embedded in every single thing that we do. And I was trying to figure out sort of how, when we go through a DA application, we, require them to do an environmental impact statement, for every DA. Is it, when we're looking at projects, is it then something similar like that we have to have a sustainability, aspect of it, that the project that we're looking at or whatever we're looking at has to sort of meet those targets? Is that how we see it happening? And then the other question I had was the sustainability committee, as it was running previously, did it, I would hate to think that it was then only pigeonholed just to committees, because I would imagine that the Sustainability Committee was looking at other issues outside of these committees. So how would that play back into council as well? Sorry, just devil's advocate a little bit.
Well, through you, Madam Mayor, I assume that was directed to me.
It was directed at someone.
Yeah. So you're 100% right. If council's undertaking a project, sustainability is one of those core things that we would look at. It's one of those things that we would then report back to the committee on. Particularly in our procurement space, we do look at things, for value for money judgment isn't just about the dollars, it's also about other aspects such as recycling and other sustainability measures that, as part of that procurement. So the local government guidelines for procurement talks about a whole range of things that you use to assess value for money. And our council and all councils need to get better at that space and not just looking at things through a single lens. So I think, we can certainly work with this. I think what it will do is, by having it as a core activity or core item within terms of reference, is always having it at the forefront of the committee's minds, which then also brings council staff, holds them to account for that as well, and makes it a very topical issue for us to be able to prove that we are doing things, or sustainability is a key focus for council.
I think it's a really good question, and I was thinking about that. I think it's up to some of the committees also to start to define, to look at their baseline of what they have, and then to say how can they improve. So it could be, some might be big improvements, some might be small improvements. I think because it is the first time we're doing this, embedding it, I think it will be a bit of trial and error. But my experience with when the ACT government introduced measures to try to bring more women into the workforce, it was something that had to be considered, in terms of people's roles, and I'm just trying to play out think about how that was embedded in a whole range of other ways. And so it was always something like, can we do this, differently, or do we have expertise from this area? So.
It could be that the staff actually put together a Q&A before the terms of reference are decided upon, to bring out those conversations about what that sustainability might look like. Do we need to put a point under 4 and just remove those down that would actually have Yass Valley Council commits to elevating sustainability into all of its committees, and will
by embedding it.
By embedding or providing a scaffold which gives direction on how to embed in the terms of reference.
Key principle for consideration.
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to try that? Okay, all right. So underneath 4, and I might lean into Councillor Flannery's and Charity's expertise here. So
I think elevating is not quite the right word to
so yes,
embedding sustainability into the committee,
into core business. Yeah.
core business decisions?
Core business decisions made by
actions.
Do we make decisions or we make recommendations?
Okay.
For the actual committees.
Yeah.
Recommendations.
Core
It's
business
an advisory committee.
Okay.
They're only advisory, can't make decisions.
So do you, what you want to say is you guys want to commit to.
Via the terms of reference.
Yeah. Okay, so, Yes Valley Council commits to embedding sustainability, into.
Principles, sustainability principles.
Yes, I like that.
Into
The terms of reference for advisory committees.
yes, I think that
And will provide a scaffold to assist committee members. Is that all enough?
Probably not scaffold, I can change.
I don't know about the scaffold, I think I just, Yass Valley Council commits to embedding sustainability principles into the terms of reference.
Okay, just leave
The
it.
reference for advisory committees, and don't worry about the core business.
Yeah,
Take
yeah,
out
yeah,
second
okay.
line,
That's good.
because we'll have to weigh those up.
And it would be also helpful when we do that induction and review those committees.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that have already been implemented. If you give us your guidance and then we have that debate within things so we define sustainability through that context. So
Councillors, I believe this is the recommendation that we're going to take out of the committee, and then we'll need to adopt that recommendation as an amendment once we come out. Okay, and that is our 15-minute mark. Well done. Councillors, so can I have a mover and a seconder as this recommendation to come out of this committee of the whole? Thank you, Councillor Cherry. Councillor Flannery. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. And a mover to take us out of the committee of the whole, please. So move Councillor Flannery, seconded Councillor Cherry. And we are back into our, vote first. All those in favour to come out. That's unanimous. And we are out of committee of the whole at 5:28. Councillors, we're resuming our council meeting now. So we have an amendment to the motion. Can I have a, actually, we can do this by consensus. So is the mover and the seconder acceptable? I imagine you would be since you moved it in the committee. Thank you. And so this is now the motion that we have before us. So we've had our mover of the motion speak. If the seconder of the motion would like to speak now to the motion. Do I have any further speakers for? Do I have any speakers against? Councillor Cameron.
So, just a question, I'm still not sure where we are with the terms of reference for the Economic Development Committee. Is that, where is that at the moment? Like, it's not in this motion, is it? Is it?
So I
No,
think
it's not.
if we, do we just pull it down a little? Is there any reference at the top?
You're suggesting that this is an amendment that's been agreed to?
Okay, so we need to have the updated guidelines provided as.
What's the terms of reference?
But the amendment that Councillor Cherry is talking about is changing the terms of reference in terms of the composition of the thing, of the committee.
I'm seeing what you're saying.
Madam Mayor, can we get some advice from the officers?
Yeah.
Sure, so through you, Madam Mayor, the reference to embedded within the guidelines means the updated guidelines that were circulated to all councillors this afternoon based on discussions in the briefing. Now, the change to the membership is not something that has been changed in those guidelines as yet. And obviously nor has the elements of sustainability. So if you wish, you may like to add a comment underneath the Economic Development Advisory Committee in item 2 to update the membership if you'd like to do that now. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. So, Councillor Cherry, are you and Councillor Flannery amenable to the addition? And what are these words that we need, please?
Just go back. The membership to include 2 members of the Yass Valley Business Chamber. Let me just bring it up.
Sorry, you said one.
No, two.
Two, back.
Sorry, 2 seconds.
propose 2 ex officio positions to the Yass Valley Business Chamber, President and Vice President, reducing the community reps from 6 to 4, and including RDA South, Southern Inland and Destination New South Wales as strategic partners / non-voting members. Yeah, so including regional development, Australia, Southern Inland and Destination New South Wales as strategic partners, in brackets, non-voting members.
Can I test the room as to the sentiment around providing you 2 positions on the business chamber? I'm trying to think back to if we've done that for another committee, such as the pool committee. Have we done it for the pool committee?
Didn't we do it?
Or
The pool
we do
committee, the pool committee's got,
It's got
With the Yass Swimming Club has 2.
doing 2, so we've got a precedent.
yeah, it's got, and we have a triathlon member.
So is
and
it 2 from the pool and 1 from the triathlon?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got a precedent there, okay. I just didn't want to open the floodgates to every committee wanting 2 for this, you know, if they think they're a larger stakeholder than the rest, that's all.
Does the same apply for the sporting, one that we should have, you know, members of sporting, of registered sporting groups? I don't know, I'm just asking, so we don't just have, so we have a criteria for the community when people are applying.
Sorry, is this going to apply as well to the sport and open space advisory?
Not how it's currently drafted, it's underneath the economic development one. So in terms of the sport and open space, it's got 10 representatives from local sporting groups and
Okay, it's already got the local sporting groups,
Yeah.
I would say with the, so for example, the Murray Bateman pump track focus group, it's 1 representative, and it's the one time that I attended that meeting, it's really important just to keep it at 1 when there is so many diverse opinions in that group.
We're talking about the recreation grounds.
Sorry, the recreation group, sorry, my bad, yes, the recreation group.
Yeah.
So where you do have, an economic development goes across our whole LGA, you know, from Bounding, Gundaroo, where, you know, and the business chamber is obviously a big part of that, but there is also other stakeholders across the LGA that also need to be adequately represented too.
Look, I guess the elephant in the room is that the business chamber does not represent the majority of businesses. But I think we should definitely.
Well, that's dangerous territory right there.
I think we need to acknowledge that their membership is not, you know, 100% of all businesses. But I think we also need to award, you know, merit where it would actually be a really powerful thing if council worked in partnership to build the membership base by giving them that opportunity. So, you know, we weren't ready for the rest of my sentence. Sorry, Councillor Flannery. And if we're going to see them become a, you know, a more powerful representative, if we can amplify it based on merit, I think that's an initiative. Councillors, are there any other speakers for and against the motion as it stands before you? Okay. Councillor Cherry, would you like to close?
No further comment, Madam Mayor, on this motion as stands.
The seconder, Councillor Flannery.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the discussion.
Well, councillors, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Well done. Moving on to item 6.7, the councillor expenses and facilities policy. I have a recommendation for us to put the draft on exhibition for a period of 28 days, and if no submissions are received, the policy be adopted. And I note that when we say submissions, we're not talking about, administrative deadlines or anything like that, are we? We're just talking about actual submissions, right? And if one or more are made during the public exhibition period, a future report will be presented to council. I have a mover for that motion. So moved to Councillor McGrath. Seconded, Councillor Rothwell. Councillor McGrath, would you like to speak? Councillor Rothwell? No. Right, let's put it to the vote. Sorry, Councillor Butler.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I just had a question on the professional development, $8,000 per councillor per term. I would just like to know how that works in terms of, is there specific organisations that we are only allowed to look at what the CPD courses that we could enrol in, and does it need to be approved by the Mayor and the CEO? And also mandatory training such as the social media one that we're having at the end of the month, does this come out of our individual allowances to allow for that? And if so, no it doesn't. Councillor Burgess, you can answer to that. Thank you.
Facebook.
Okay, is that a question with, that we'll take on notice, or can we answer that?
Yeah, you go.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the answer is no, so that does need into your individual budget, the mandatory training, so code of conduct, code of meeting practice, social media is separate. And sorry, can you remind me what your first question was, Councillor Butler?
The question was, are there certain, like the OLG puts out, is there certain companies or training bodies that we can only align with, or if I found some random training that aligned with something that I was doing, could I bring it to you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Mayor. It's open to councillors to come up with their own professional development plans. You would work with the likes of the CEO or myself. If you needed some assistance with working out if it was fit for purpose for what you're looking to achieve. But the answer is no, there's not a set list of providers.
Thank you.
Councillor Flannery.
Yeah, is the funding cumulative, or do we have to spend it within that year? So you thought there was a term, okay, yeah. Well, no, I was just wondering if something.
You're going to get
I was
rid
wondering
of
if it was
It is a
per term.
No, it's not per term. Councillors, any further questions? Right, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Item 6.8, the privacy management plan. We have a recommendation that it go on public exhibition and no submissions are received. Policy be adopted and a future report come if we do have any submissions. Do I have a mover? Councillor Cameron. And seconder, Councillor Flannery. Councillor Cameron. Yeah. Let's put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Item 6.9, the register of declarations of pecuniary interests and other matters, councillors and designated persons. We have a recommendation that the register of annual returns, etc., for the period ending 30th of June 2025 be tabled. Do I have a mover? So moved, Councillor Cherry and Councillor Cameron. Thank you. Any speakers for? Councillors, let's put that to the vote. That's unanimous, thank you. Councillors, item 6.10, the new code of meeting practice. We have a recommendation that we endorse the draft. We place it on exhibition. And it be returned to council by December 2025 in order to be adopted, and consider these submissions prior. Do I have a mover? So move Councillor McGrath and Councillor Cherry. That's right, thank you. If the mover and the seconder are amenable, there is the amendment which included the adjustment well picked up on the timeline for the notices of motion. Thank you, Councillor Cameron, for that notification. Councillor Cameron.
A question,
Yes.
in the briefing papers on page 58, we've got the idea of the public forum being earlier than what we currently do. The public forum is being suggested by the staff to be on Tuesday. Now, is that going to be part of what's on public? Okay, it is.
Yes.
So that we'll get feedback whether people are happy about that or not. Okay.
Councillors, would you be amenable to actually make an adjustment tonight to the motion to actually put that later? And I'm just going to suggest that I seek some advice from Councillor Burgess as to whether it would be appropriate to put that at 5 or 6 o'clock on the Tuesday, because we're going to bring the open forum to a different day. What's better? Is it 5 or 6 or 4 for you?
Right. In the winter time, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
But this time of the year, got to be a bit later.
Okay, so we could adjust that.
Yeah.
We could bring, so we
If you
could
can
actually
do
have
that.
that seasonal. Okay.
I can get here, I can't get here all the time, this time of the year, September, October, November, we're flat out cheering and haymaking stuff. So 100 mile an hour, that's my problem.
Okay.
I work all the time.
So if we had the open forum at 6 o'clock in summer, or 5 o'clock in summer.
Is this for council meetings or?
This is for open forum, because open forum is going to be split in this suggested onto the Tuesdays. So we'll be here anyway for workshops, but to make it easier for the public to come, we could turn it into a 5 o'clock open forum.
Oh, yeah, that sounds all right. Yeah.
Is the mover acceptable with that
That's right.
change?
That sounds all right.
Okay.
Hang on.
Yes,
Can
Councillor
we
McGrath.
start a workshop at 4 o'clock and we have it open for 5 o'clock? What if the workshop?
Keeps going.
Keeps going, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It would have to be a hard one. I mean,
Okay.
we might have a 15-minute leeway or something like that, so we have the open forum start at 5:15, because people will come in. It's just difficult, we might start at 5:30, because people will come in, you don't want to be having people outside and us always running in and out.
Doors open to open forum then.
So we have to finish at 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Full stop.
So
Good
maybe
discipline.
maybe make it 5:15.
Yeah.
Okay, 5:15. 5:15 for open forum.
Bring that gong with you.
Like the gavel.
Councillor
Just a
Butler.
question on that as well. So, when this all comes into play, it's all adopted, we will lose our briefings, once a month. So we currently have Tuesdays as, one Tuesday a month is our briefing and one Tuesday a month is our workshop. So it'll be amalgamated to the open forum and a workshop, one Tuesday a month now instead of 2 Tuesdays a month.
So you remain the second Tuesday, so instead of having a workshop and a briefing, you have 2 workshops.
Yes, I understand that, but so at the moment, we're allocating 2 Tuesdays a month. One of them is a briefing, one of them is a workshop. And now we're saying that we'll only be doing 1 Tuesday a month. No, we're gonna be still doing two Tuesdays a month. So we're gonna be, sorry,
Two
I'm just a
workshops.
bit confused.
2 workshops.
2 workshops, so okay, so that's, sorry, that's
No
another
briefing.
thing that I
No
didn't, so we're gonna be doing 2 workshops now a month.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yeah, but
but
one will only be
shorter,
on,
not
yeah,
as long
correct.
anymore. Okay, I understand, thank you.
I have one, and we all have differences in, our work life, but I do feel that attendance in person is a really important thing, and I do try my hardest to be here, but my work often leads me away, or leads me away, and today was an example of being late because of plane issues or, timetabling issues. I do find it quite an aggressive move not allowing people to attend remotely or by Teams or Zoom. It seems that when we had COVID, everyone was allowed to everyone was allowed to go on Zoom, and I can't really see why now that still isn't allowed, because it may preclude me in particular for attending a meeting, whereas I would always like to participate, and I always do my best to participate in person.
Well noted, Councillor Flannery, and I'll ask the CEO to respond.
Yeah, unfortunately, Councillor Flannery, that's in the mandatory provisions, and that's not something that council gets to make a decision on. Yeah.
being imposed by the Minister of Local Government.
I've just got a follow-up question on that. This is just for the ordinary meeting, correct?
Yes.
So if we have workshops and we are able to zoom into things like that, I just want to clarify, this is for the ordinary meeting only. Okay, thank you.
And it's my understanding that the open forum is also an opportunity for us to zoom into if we need to. Sorry, Teams.
Yes, there's nothing stipulated that you have, or you can or cannot attend via Zoom.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, councillors, so if the mover, Councillor McGrath and Councillor Cherry as the seconder are amenable to that change of 5:15 in the summer season, should we have something that reverts for winter and actually stipulate a time? So 4 o'clock for open forum? Yeah, daylight saving, is that enough of a?
Did you use that as an indicator to change it?
Okay. Speak up in the next 28 days, if not. Okay, all right. And if the mover and the seconder are amenable to that change of during, why don't we just say instead of in the summer season, during daylight saving? Thank you. And then we can do 4 at all other. We just need to provide the other time yet. Oh, I just put actually 4 PM alternately. Is that explained? Okay, terrific. Councillor Cherry.
Madam Mayor, I've just got a couple of points I'd like to make that aren't impacted by the amendments that we've just given, so if I may. Madam Mayor, thank you. I rise to speak in support of the new Office of Local Government mandated code of meeting practice, and in particular the intent behind these reforms to strengthen transparency, accountability and good governance for the Yass Valley community. This new code represents an important milestone for local government in New South Wales. It reflects the Minister for Local Government's mandatory provisions that aim to make council operations more open and consistent across the state. The inclusion of these changes in our own governance framework is both timely and necessary. That said, I do want to acknowledge one area that deserves careful attention and a hint of caution. The new mandatory provisions do confer greater authority on the Mayor within the Chamber, particularly in managing debate and procedural direction. Whilst I make no criticism whatsoever of you, Madam Mayor, we must remain mindful that future office holders may not always share the same restraint or sense of civic duty such as yourself. Such additional authority, if left unchecked, has the potential to be weaponised by those pursuing ideological driven agendas, and that would run counter to the principles of fairness and collective decision making that define good local government. It is therefore our responsibility as councillors to exercise ongoing scrutiny of how these provisions are applied, ensuring that the intent of transparency and efficiency never becomes a facade for control and exclusion. On a more positive note, I strongly support the new requirement that any departure from an officer's planning recommendation must be accompanied by a clear, robust and legally sound rationale. This is an excellent inclusion in my opinion. It upholds the principles of natural justice, ensures procedural fairness and places the council in a defensible position should its decision be challenged in the Land Environment Court. That kind of discipline in our decision making benefits the community and the integrity of this chamber. I also commend the decision to live broadcast public forums and hold them on a separate day from the ordinary meeting. This is a practical and forward-thinking reform in my opinion. It gives our residents greater access to council proceedings, provides councillors more time to reflect on community input and helps reinforce public trust in how our decisions are made. In summary, I believe this code strengthens accountability and community confidence in the democratic process. It is a positive step towards a more open, deliberative and professional council, and one that truly reflects the values of integrity and service that the people of the Yass Valley expect from us. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you for those insights, Councillor Cherry. Do we have any further speakers? I offer the opportunity to close to Councillor McGrath. Well done. Let's vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Councillors, we move on to item 6.11, the monthly financial report, and we have a recommendation to note it for September 2025. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Kimber. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Flanagan. Councillor Cameron, you have the floor.
Not speaking on the motion, I'm just asking a question to the Chief Financial Officer through the CEO. I think I sort of mentioned this the other day. The item on page 66 of the briefing page is under internal restrictions, the Binalong pool. Could you give us a little bit of information about what that is? Because it's there all the time and there doesn't seem to be any movement. Can we get a bit of an idea about this one?
Through you, Madam Mayor, CEO. Thank you, Councillor Cameron, for the question. So we've got an internal restriction of $21,000 for the Binalong pool. So it goes back as a bit of history. So in 2014, the management of the pool was entrusted in council. And then at that time, the Progress Association had around $26,000 that was transferred to council, and council internally restricted those funds. And those funds was established to finance the acquisition of pool equipment specifically for the pool Binalong. So the asset is council's asset. There are funds that are internally restricted for that purpose, of which if the Binalong community they're doing improvements to the pool or they need equipment, they can request through to council utilisation of those funds, and then council makes an assessment on that, does it meet the requirement, and then works with the area to implement what they want to do. So back in 2017-18, there was $7,000 used for particular equipment for the pool, but since then that balance has stayed. But I am of the understanding that we have received correspondence to council to consider some solar panels and some heating for the pool, of which our recreation asset area is currently reviewing that submission, and I believe they're liaising with the community at the moment.
Okay, so that's an ongoing process at the moment.
Yes.
I believe that there've been in correspondence starting from December last year.
There was initial correspondence in December. The recreational assets team, I believe, have been working on this since July.
All right.
So I'm not sure the reason for the
delay. Yeah, things happen.
Things are happening, and the team are working with the community, I believe.
So my expectation would be that sooner or later that's heading downwards, that figure.
Yes.
As long as they meet whatever.
They're going to meet the criteria.
Are they aware of their criteria? Sorry, I jumped in there.
Yeah,
There's negotiations.
I assume that. So they've submitted a request,
yeah.
And then our staff are reviewing that. If it meets whatever the criteria is,
yeah.
Then we will assist. If it's approved,
yeah.
Then those funds can go towards.
All right, great.
Whatever that purpose is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Do we have any further speakers on this item? Okay, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Item 6.12, the investment and borrowing report. We have the report before us covering the period of 1st to the 30th of September 2025, and the recommendation is to note it. Councillors, do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Tarrant. Seconded, Councillor Rothwell. Councillor Tarrant, would you like to talk? Any speakers? Okay, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 6.13, the Yass Treatment Plant Upgrade Project Implementation. We have a recommendation before us to note the updated report and the work completed on the Yass Water Treatment Plant Upgrade Project. Do I have a mover? So move Councillor McGrath. Councillor Cameron. Councillor McGrath, would you like to speak?
It's good news, ma'am.
vote. All those in favour, you note. That's unanimous, thank you. Okay, councillors, item 6.14, we need to move this one through to confidential. It is the update on the closure of Telegraph Close Yass. Do I have a move to confidential for that item? So do Councillor Flannery and Councillor Cherry. Councillors, all those in favour of that being moved to confidential? To councillors, I just need you to raise your hands for a moment more. Councillors Butler, McGrath, Cherry, Jones, Burgess, Rothwell and Flannery. All those against? Councillor Cameron. The motion is passed. Moving on to item 7.1, the establishment of a focus group tree management strategy. Councillors, this motion was laid on the table as we were bringing back our whole suite of committees. Councillor Cameron, would you now like to pick up your motion off the table?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just a little bit confused there. Did we look at 6, 12 and 13? Was I asleep at the wheel or? 6, 12. I didn't think we looked at 6, 12 and 6, 13.
Yes.
Did we vote on?
Yeah.
Did I vote on?
Yes. Councillor Cameron, it's like driving, isn't it? Did I just sleep drive through that last script? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you for the ridicule. It's deserved on this occasion. It's actually funny that, speaking about that, I was coming back from one meeting, I think it was Bowling, and I missed the turn off to Yass. Had to go quite a long way to go around.
They were big thoughts though.
So asleep at the wheel is probably the right one. Okay, so the motion I've got here, has it been seconded?
That's an interesting point. So
Councillor
if you could
Cherry
just
is going to
state,
do it, make up
if
for
you
the
could
other.
state the motion once again, if you could just state the motion again and then seek a seconder.
All right, that a committee of 2 councillors and a minimum of 3 community members be established to assist with the development of a tree management strategy.
Okay. There's a motion before us. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cherry.
Thank you, Councillor Cherry. I suppose I was going to ask a question before I started this about, because I've had some discussions with some previous and experienced councillors about a list of significant trees. And I got the impression that at some stage there was a list of significant trees in the Yass Valley area. It would have been just in Yass itself, I don't know. But I do know that the Garden Club is trying to do something about that at the moment. They're trying to sort of recognise trees of some value. But besides that, we'll leave that in abeyance and maybe people can have a look at that at some stage. I put this motion, and I think I could point out a couple of words. One is assist, it's not to dominate, and it's the development of a strategy, and it's not, it doesn't go any further. So there's a definite sort of timeline that this group of people, whether you call it a committee or a focus group or a working party or whatever, can help out with this particular situation. Recent tree issues have clearly highlighted the Yass Valley's community concern for maintaining and preserving our heritage trees, which are a significant asset to the community. I believe the tree management strategy is an important move forward that has been delayed for at least 3 years, but it appears now has become somewhat of a major priority in this term of council, which I welcome greatly. I felt a committee that includes some very knowledgeable locals, and there are plenty of them around who do know a lot about trees, president of the Garden Club, and there are numerous others, could assist, I presume, a non-local consultant. Usually consultants aren't locally selected, but I may be wrong there, to really have an even better understanding of the importance of trees to this current and future community. So it was just an idea that I wanted thrown up, because I think it's another way, besides the committees that we've developed in 6.6 today, another way of getting people involved in this particular issue, which I think is becoming one of great interest to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Cherry, would you be amenable to deferring your next right to speak? Because I think the CEO has some comments to make. Yeah, if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Cameron, you're absolutely right that this now has become a significant priority for the council, and it's great to see it on the top list to be done, because I think we all agree that we need some direction around our trees within our local government area. I do have some concerns, and some of those concerns have been shared with me by members of the community about council using focus groups as a way of, I suppose, having louder voices in certain areas rather than pure community broad-based engagement, which takes into account a whole range of views and a whole range of stakeholders. I prefer the latter. It's because it's very hard at times to weight what a focus group is versus the broader community engagement. I would, as part of, say, the tree management strategy, I'm happy to engage with councillors around who are our prominent stakeholders within the local community, as this is knowledge that I don't particularly have myself yet, and make sure that those stakeholders are engaged throughout the process and have an opportunity to speak with the consultant on as they develop the strategy. I just have I suppose a shared concern that has been raised with me through other community groups around council's ongoing use of focus groups that can be quite narrow in their makeup, and I think we really do need to make sure that we have a very broad-based consultation process.
Councillor Cherry,
just a very quick comment, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that, CEO. I really appreciate your input to that. As the resident arborist and tree management expert, I feel Councillor Flannery's opinions are really important in this particular item, so I invite her to say some comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cherry. I share both views in that community views are important. Trees have been, something I've worked on my whole working life, and as a child often, and still do. But I do feel that we need not just a focus group of people, but we need experts that have credentials, so that we're not just looking at past history of trees in Yass, and there's many ones that I love and really want protected, but also that we look to the future to developing planting schemes that are cognizant of our environment, of a future that we want to portray in an Australian town. So I do feel that having community members is nice, but it's essential that we get expertise in it, so that if there's any recommendation, it would be that we engaged in community members that are experts in that area. I'm not quite sure what the amendment is, and that we give, first of all, the council the opportunity to get someone on board to lead the program, so we have a time frame and a process. It's not just done in the absence of having someone to lead it.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just to confirm that we have issued a request for quote for the engagement of suitably qualified consultant to be able to facilitate that work. Within that RFQ it is quite detailed in terms of what our expectations are for community consultation. And my expectation is that the consultant would develop a community consultation report as part of that, as a first step in developing a strategy to make sure and to have documented what the community's views are, but that's overlaid with the consultant's expertise taken into consideration.
And also the expertise of, trees are a broad thing. We've got urban trees, they have a certain management. We have trees in our nature parks and things. We don't have nature parks, we have parks, and we do have, what do we call our reserves, that only also trees on private land, but they all need some kind of different approach.
I've also just noted, now that we've decided on who's going to be on the open Spaces, Sports and Open Spaces Advisory Committee, I've just realised that the staff made a comment here that this committee will also have a role to play in engaging with and developing the tree management strategy. So we'll have you directly plugged into that process, which is good. Okay, I note that it says it's not intended that a committee be established exclusively for the development of that strategy. So I assume that's for the reasons that you just expressed. Okay. Councillors, do we have a speaker for or against this motion? Councillor McGrath.
I'd just like to comment, Madam Mayor, it seems to me that the at the operational level, events have overtaken this motion. Really, from that point of view, I think trying to impose another layer on top of what has already happened just complicates the issue. So I guess I'll be voting against.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Sorry, Councillor. Sorry. One second. You've spoken to your motion.
I'm asking a question.
Okay, that's great, because I didn't want to close your debate before you
No,
wanted us
just
to.
a question,
Okay.
just for my, for the information of the council, what's the suggested timeline for the consultant?
So
6 months or?
It says you're engaging with consultant in November.
yeah, but I don't know how long. I'd have to take that as a question on notice on how long they think it'll take to develop a plan. But the consultant should be engaged in November.
Okay, thank you.
Through you,
Councillor Butler, speaking for or
comment,
against,
just a comment at this point in time, not committing to anything. I like the concept of this, however, I do think that when the consultant comes on board, when they do their community consultation, I would think that the 3 community members would already, people who would nominate for this position, probably would already be heavily involved in an existing, group such as Land Care or the Garden Club. They probably already have expertise. I wouldn't think that 3 community members we would be harnessing would be outside of an existing group that the consultant, we would hope, would engage with as a stakeholder. In saying that, we have had consultants come on board that we expect that they do broad community consultation, and we are not overseeing that. And then when it comes to the end, we go, why weren't they consulted? So I think council needs to have some sort of more directive of who we expect that they are going to consult with and what type of consultation that they actually do with these people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Do I have a speaker for this motion? Do I have a speaker against this motion?
It's not an against, it's just an amendment that so there are 2 councillors, because through you, I felt that you were speaking against it.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
No, I'm supportive of that view, so I
Yeah.
guess I'm speaking against it.
Yeah.
In that I feel that the motion, I'm just not I'm not comfortable with just having community members.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Flannery. Councillors, just for my own 2 months' work in this issue, I think what's happened here is that when a councillor is working on an idea in solo, they can actually be working in parallel with council and not know it, or as Councillor McGrath said, events overtook the situation, and Councillor Cherry and I experienced that today. We were both working separately. Once I realised we were working together towards the same goal, I said, I've got my hands off the wheel, we've got this from now. So I commend the sentiment behind the motion, but I think we've got this covered now, and I think our expectation is that that scope goes wide, and it also seeks out in terms of what our consultant will do. It should actually be looking at not only seeking the broad public opinion, but I hope brings out certain talent. And I think limiting ourselves to 3 community members is doing ourselves a disservice when Yass Valley is so broad and has so many different landscapes, from our villages to our towns, and we have a lot of expertise. And once we form a committee, people think, oh, well, they've got that covered. I think there's the opportunity for more engagement, so I intend to vote against. Councillor Cameron, you now have the opportunity to close.
Thank you, and there's been quite a number of points raised, and I thank Councillor Butler for her points. I'm thinking of probably the mistake that I've made is to leave, as Councillor McGrath said, maybe I've left it too late, that there have been committees in the past where you've got the community representatives working with a consultant. I'm thinking of various committees at Murrumbidgee, the Playground Committee, the Open Spaces type committee. These are ones that have used local people to advantage, in my opinion. So I was probably thinking in that sort of framework and thinking that these people could sort of, I'm just thinking somebody, a consultant who doesn't know the area that well, I'm making assumptions here, of course, is going to be trying to find out how things work. And okay, they might get three people who are a little bit biased one way or the other, but they know the community. I'd be expecting people who've been here 20 or 30 years, who know the area, who know things. The other day we were talking with Ross Webster, somebody in that sort of capacity, who is really knowledgeable not only of the particular speciality, whether it's the river or the trees or whatever, but also of the community itself. So I just thought that this could get things going quicker, and I also thought the local community would know what works and what doesn't work in terms of engagement. And I think the point that you made, Councillor Butler, was good, that I think we sometimes think that we're going to have a strategy or we're going to have a plan, and it's going to go out there, we're going to get a lot of comment and a lot of feedback. For example, the financial roadmap, how many submissions did we get? 5. Was that adequate? The quality was great, but the engagement of the community wasn't. So it points out that submissions after you've done the strategy may not work that well. I'm thinking that what the person could be doing, and maybe this could be suggested, is public meetings, talking about trees, and getting people really interested in things. But leave it to the consultant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. I will now put this to a vote. All those in favour of the motion?
I was going to vote for it.
Councillor Cameron. All those against? The motion is lost. Item 8.1, question with notice from Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You may be surprised to know that I'm here to answer this question. But I'd like to thank the governance manager for the clarification. I raised the question, Madam Mayor, because of a recent Facebook post that claimed that mayoral amendments are to deal with urgent matters only. A fundamental misreading or a misunderstanding of the present wording of the code. I'm pleased to note that the wording of the new code of meeting practice removes all references to urgent and clearly states that the mayor may submit any matter with or without notice on any topic the mayor determines should be considered at a meeting. And that, I think, is the way it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. And I appreciate the fact that you didn't ask a second question about your question. Councillors, we will note that. All those in favour of noting? That's unanimous. Sorry, I didn't get a mover and a seconder. I do.
What was the recommendation?
So moved, Councillor McGrath and Councillor Butler. Thank you. We'll do that in reverse. One more with feeling. All those in favour? Yeah, unanimous. Thank you. Councillors, 8.2, questions with notice, come from Councillor Cameron. Councillor Cameron.
Like Councillor McGrath, I'd like to thank the people for the staff for providing the information. And it's really quite interesting because when you read the first part of it, it sort of says we don't do this sort of stuff with these particular things, we don't have our accounting systems based up on this sort of information. So I thank them for, on the second page, providing the information.
Oh, sorry, councillor, which question?
8.2, I thought?
Are you doing the one regarding waste?
No. Sorry,
That's
mistake.
that's the first question. So councillors, let's just roll with councillor Cameron on this one, and you're going to.
8.2?
Oh, the environment, okay, sorry, carry on.
Okay, and I just think it's really, I'd like to thank them for providing the information that in regard to expenditure in the environment area, that 76% is spent on parks, gardens and sporting fields, and 24% is on other environmental matters. And I think that's valuable information in regard to the environment area. Thank you.
Councillor Cameron, would you also like to move?
Yes.
That and note the answers and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor McGrath. All those in favour of noting? That's unanimous. Item 9.1. The minutes from Rye Park Wind Farm Community Enhancement Fund Advisory Committee held on the 25th of August 2025. We have a recommendation that those minutes be noted. Can I have a move? Seconded. Councillor Cherry. Councillor McGrath. All those in favour of accepting those minutes? That's unanimous. Motion passed. Councillors, the item 9.2, the minutes of the CRJO Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. I have a recommendation that those minutes be noted. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Rothwell. Councillor Burgess. Any speakers?
Not a speak, no
Councillor
comment, just more of a question. Noting Councillor Carter's not in the room, he's our councillor representative. I'd like to invite the CEO or the CFO to speak on his behalf. Anything that we need to be aware of specifically?
Happy for you to.
Thank you, Councillor Cherry, for the question. So I think the ARIC meeting, especially around you've got the meeting of July, which was a standing meeting, and then the extraordinary meeting was really around our financial statements, and I sort of echo Councillor Carter's comments at the previous council meeting going, the committee were quite positive in the improvements that we have made with our financial statements and the information and presentation going forward. So they did thank council and the staff for that improvement.
Okay. Councillors, if we have no further speakers, let's put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Councillors, that concludes the non-confidential items. I'll just check if anyone wants to speak about from our public gallery about the decision to put this, although I have to put it into alphabetical first, I have to have a mover and a seconder. Thank you. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Butler and Councillor Cherry. Sorry, now I can ask if anyone doesn't know what is going into confidential, and they do not. Okay, councillors, we can now put that to the vote. All those in favour of moving into confidential? Councillors, could I just keep your hands raised? Councillor Butler, Councillor McGrath, Councillor Cherry, Councillor Jones, Councillor Burgess, Councillor Rothwell, Councillor Flannery. Those against? Councillor Cameron. The motion is passed. Councillors and our community at home will now be finishing our live stream so we can conduct our confidential business. We've now closed our council meeting, and for the items in confidential, 10.1, the update on the closure of Telegraph Close, Yass. I can confirm that council adopted the resolution made in confidential tonight. And that concludes our business for the meeting of October 2025.